I'm not the kind of consistent that you might normally expect. So I'm gonna put out 100 videos in one night, and 0 for the next 3 years. So enjoy these videos while you get them. Uh, all right. So in this video, I'm talking about why society needs prostitutes. Men, um, male sexuality has been under attack. Men's sexuality is under attack. We need to defend it. Um, it's weird because society for a long time, because of the Puritans and the Quakers and the early American Protestants and all this stuff, and the British, like they went around the world and they made sex a bad thing, a dirty, evil, bad thing. And then and men were like, y'all ain't fucking with our sex lives. And women were like, hey, what about us? And then for like centuries, women's sexuality was oppressed, suppressed, and so repressed. And now women are out there shining their sexuality, and it's actually disgusting sometimes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest. I've been to a lot of. I never went to a Diddy party, but I went to a lot of similar parties. But they were actually all consensual. It was never any trafficking happening. Anyway, I'll talk about Diddy shit later at the end of this video. Try and keep this one shorter. So getting back to it, women had a hard time sexually, I think, for the last couple of centuries. Okay. And so they kind of switched things around in the 20th century. Look, this is years of reading and research. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm putting everything together, mashing it all together. And so women started saying, look, we really don't like being oppressed and repressed sexually. There was a little upswing during the Victorian period. Women's sexuality got a little flourishing during that time. But then it dropped back down because, people were like, yeah, that's nasty. Don't be doing that in public or whatever. It's like, you dirty girl, put it away. And so women's sexuality has been repressed for the last couple of centuries. And so during this time, men, we could all talk holiness, cleanliness, don't have don't have sex and all this stuff, and be, clean and pure. And men were just going down to the harlot joint, and to the brothel and getting their rocks off. If they could rub together a couple of pennies, they'd go down to the brothel and they'd pay for, some harlot. And so women couldn't get away with it. And if you were caught in adultery, if you were seen as a dirty girl, you just were kind of ousted from society. And if you're ousted, how do you provide for yourself? How do you protect yourself? It's really an unfortunate situation. Women were put in a bad situation. So now women are like, oh, they read this history, they got it all in school, and then now they're upset. And then there's been this movement to kind of champion women's sexuality and women's sexual liberation, but to crush and quell and silence and castrate male sexuality and male sexual liberation. And so this conversation is about bringing everything back in a healthy, rounded, intelligent manner. This is about the apex human journey, moving forward. As men, we need sexual expression. Men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of women, according to most statistics. And for a lot of women who just don't get it, they're okay with that. They're like, well, hey, shit, there's one less oppressor in the world, but you don't realize there's also one less inventor, one less protector, one less provider, one less son, one less husband, one less father, one less. And so we lose a lot every time we lose a man to self-deletion. I hate that word, suicide. Okay, we lose a lot, but that can change. So look at war-torn countries. Let's look at places of conflict and strife. When there's not a healthy movement of the creative energy, which we call sexual energy, then there's stagnation, there's death, there's poverty, there's suffering, there's all kinds of other bad things, right? And so today's video is about the importance of prostitutes in society, because prostitutes not only uphold the family. I'll demonstrate that with logic. I'm not going to use statistics and research studies and all that stuff, because Research studies and statistics are used to uphold and maintain the status quo of society generally. If I can use them to uphold my arguments, then I will use them. But I'm not going to waste time looking for studies on how prostitutes make society better because I'm pretty sure there are none. But I'll use logic and reason, and I think you'll be able to understand this. I think you'll be able to get along with it. So why do prostitutes matter? Why would I say, so these are three things I'm going to argue in this. I'm not going to argue, I'm just going to state them. Prostitutes uphold the family, prostitutes make sure society stays together, and prostitutes were extremely important to the life of Jesus. If you're a Christian, whether religious, spiritual, or geopolitical Christian, like myself, and you'll understand this. Jesus didn't have the nice virgins next to him. His mother was a virgin, right? If you believe that story, I'm not saying the Bible's wrong. I'm just saying that that's how she told it, and I don't know if I believe her. Okay, I'm not one of those believe all women people. I'm just saying. Anyway, so who was Jesus' closest disciple? It wasn't John, it wasn't Jude, it wasn't Bartholomew. Hello, Michael. It wasn't these other people. It was Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was the closest disciple. What was she? A prostitute. Okay, what about Rahab? You heard about Rahab? That's Jesus' great, 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 great grandmother. It was through Rahab that Jesus came. What about Ruth? She did some really like sexually inappropriate things in the sense that she went to a man's tent and slept at his feet, which is like really scandalous back then. So prostitutes, harlots, whores are a very important part of society. We give them these terms, and I don't know, maybe we call them priestesses or something. But men's sexuality has been suppressed. It's been repressed. It's been crushed and quelled for the last 3 generations. That's 75 years. And one of the things that went away with that is the brothel, the profession of the harlot. Harlots used to have social upstanding. It's like a long time ago, like thousands of years ago. They were actually considered like not priestesses, but what would we look up to today in a woman? They were like almost like nurses. Okay, and I'm not saying that nurses now are like that, but get it. Like when you say somebody's, oh, my wife's a nurse, people are like, oh yeah, that's nice, right? That's really nice. That's the same the way that it was for a harlot, thousands of years ago, and even up to hundreds of years ago. And why do harlots matter? Why do they matter to society? Why do they matter to families? Why are they so important? Because they provide an outlet for sexual tension among men. Male sexuality, female sexuality is very different in its expression and in its flow. And people don't want to admit that, but we all know that. We all know that. If you're an adult, if you've ever had sex once in your life, you know that sexual expression, as it comes to men, as it comes to women, is very different in expression. And so if you want a man to be like very productive and genuinely productive and peaceful and laid back and easygoing, he needs to have a regular flow of that energy through his body, out of his body, and feel kind of seen in it and appreciated and that sort of a thing. And that's what harlots offer. Harlots have always offered that. And so when you remove that from society and then you put all the sexual pressure on a wife, that's where women are like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore. An intelligent woman who understands the structure of a man, because women have been taught to ignore the design of men, ignore the structure of men, ignore the needs and the importance of men, and say if they like it, they get shamed and they're told, oh, you're a pick-me, or you're not worthy, or you're a bad girl because you don't, join us all in this weird feminist psychotic thing where we just hate men and we silence their sexuality and then say, oh, woman's sexuality is all that matters. Today we're talking about why prostitutes are important for society, how they uphold families, and why was it that they were prominent figures in the Bible. It's strange that the Bible would condemn sexual infidelity or sexual sin, but it upholds many harlots from Rahab to Mary Magdalene to many others. So thank you for the question. And so the main crux of it is, if you want to break a society, you have to take apart the human being. And the human being is male and female. We're not full humans if we don't have the male and the female part. Every single human being has masculinity and femininity woven into them in varying degrees. But males and females create children, and that upholds society. That's just how it is. We can have all of our sexual proclivities, we can be all the rainbow colors and all the alphabet soup people, but there is still this thing that we have to face. There's males and there's females. They come together and make babies, and those babies either become males or females. It can offend some people. That's okay. It is what it is. I don't write the rules. I just tell you them. And so what harlots do is allow an escape valve from male sexual expression. Okay, they allow men to be able to go to work, grind on the job, come home, take care of their family, support their wives, make sure that the children are respecting mom, and that the family has protection, provision, and priesthood. And then they can go out and say, you know what, my wife is tired. She's been going all day. Let me run down to the brothel. I've made sure that my family's taken care of. I made sure that my children are provided for. My wife is happy at home. And, she doesn't want to have sex with me 5 times a week. 2 of those nights, I'm going down to the brothel. I don't care about Sally Mae or Bessie Sue over at the brothel. She is a service provider. I care about her as a human being. I appreciate her service as a human being. But she's a service provider. And this is the thing about men, is we can separate sex from commitment. There are men that I know, some of you might be in this comment section. There are men who are in sexually committed relationships who haven't had sex in months or years. If you're one of those guys, don't put it in the comment section, but I see you, okay? If you're one of those guys, there are more men in marriages with children that are not having sex than you would imagine. And men aren't going to necessarily go out and say, "Yeah, I'm in a sexless marriage." I was the one person saying that, but I'm weird. I'm different. I'm built different. But there are a lot of men that are out there suffering. And why do men go through that? Because of the love of those babies, of those children. A man will put likes in this if this is touching you, if this is helping you. There are men that will suffer a sexless marriage for decades at a time because they love their children. And they will allow themselves to go through the sexual abuse, because actually, by the state of California, it's considered sexual abuse if you withhold sex from your partner that you are sexually involved with regularly. It's like, I can't remember the number of the code, but it is actually considered sexual abuse and domestic violence. So there's a lot of women committing domestic violence and men that are just putting up with it. And if you agree, or if you've seen that, put a like on this video. So what harlots do is harlots allow men to have that sexual expression. And so that you can be, I've known of men who are married for decades and they're not having sex with their wives for decades, and they're fine because they had a mistress. But these are men with money, lots and lots of money. Oh shit, you're 11? Then get out of here. This is not for children. Nelson, let's see, I'm 11. I should be older now. No, you shouldn't. Get off of the thing, Nelson. You shouldn't be here. And look, I told you, you're not supposed to be here. And on the video, it says this is not for children. So I'll cut back on some of the stuff because I don't want to mess up your life. And why are you up at 4:30 in the morning on a Sunday? Go to bed. Anyway, anyway, I'm going to clean this up because there's a Nelson. Nelson, get out of here. When it goes down to 0, then I'll... Yeah, God bless you, man. Get out of here. You don't need to hear all this. Go to bed. Go play video games. God bless you. You don't need to hear this. Be happy. Be a child. Oh, you're in Orlando? Sorry. Man, YouTube. Look, man, go find another video. God bless you, man. I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to clean it up. But please leave. Okay, I'm talking about adult stuff here. You don't need to hear this. 11 years old? I'm going to continue, though. All right. Thank you. God bless you, young Nelson. God bless you with all. Go read your Bible, man. Get in the word before you get depressed, so you don't have to deal with the stuff I'm talking about. I'm trying to save adult men here. You need to get in the word, read God's word, and get off this YouTube, man. Get out of here. God bless you. Anyway, or at least don't tell me you're here. Um, what was I saying, man? Anyway, the word harlot is in the Bible, so I'm gonna leave it that one. So harlots, what they do is they allow an avenue, a channel for uh, Americans. It's the title is something about harlots. You never heard of a harlot? I don't know. Maybe I need to change the title. I'll change the title later. Um, I hope Nelson's out of here because I'm gonna go for it. Listen, so harlots allow for expression of masculine male energy. Please be gone, Nelson. Anyway, it allows sexual energy expression for men. You know, the harlot, the brothel is a very important thing. And when you remove that from society and then you put pressure on women to provide all of the sexual expression for men, especially wives, then you have all kinds of non-consensual things occurring. And that's something that, I mean, that's going to happen for some people because some people just lack the integrity to honor another person's consent. All right, Nelson, I'm just going to talk about it. All right, Nelson. But because some people, I'm just going to make it real clean because I ain't trying to get you all riled up. But, you know, mentally, I don't want you thinking about a lot of stuff. So, but some people lack the ability to respect consent. And so that's going to happen. But what the brothel does is it provides an escape route for those energies within society. Okay? Thank you. Please leave, Nelson. Thank you so much. God bless you. So it allows an escape valve for those energies within society. And so what's happened is the brothel has been removed, the harlots have been removed, or they've been shamed, or they've gone underground. Because let's be honest, harlots still exist. You know, they still exist. But what happens is this has been pushed underground, and so you have a higher incidence of abuses, disease spreading, all kinds of things that happen if it was just open, public, healthcare is being taken care of. You know, people would be safer, society would be safer. And these men who work all day, they work hard, they love their families. I mean, this is the thing, this is the tragedy of all. These men love their families. I know, because I'm a dad. I went through all that stuff. I went through what was it, 2011 to 2000, it was a 12-year sexless marriage. 12 years of sexless marriage. And I was actually not having sex for like I think 5 or 6 of those years. Like actually not doing anything. I was supplementing with online study materials, and which a lot of men do. And that was not giving me the energy exchange I needed as an adult man. And so there are a lot of men that are out there just struggling, just dying. They're going to work every day, they're drinking themselves into a grave, or smoking themselves into a grave, or drugging themselves into a grave, come home, and they resent the very woman that they have committed themselves to. And now imagine if you had an outlet as a man, and it was a legal outlet, and you could go and interact with people at the brothel. I'm keeping this as clean as possible. All right, sounds like you're an adult, Nelson. God bless you. Go talk to the CPS. But let's say you've got a brothel, and this is a legitimized place of business. You're able to go in there, show your ID, basically say this is what my health profile is, my adult health profile is, and all that information is understood by them. Now you can monitor STDs and STIs within society. Now you can maintain a lot of different things. And I'm not saying do it China level CCP type, Big Brother stuff. What I'm just saying is it's like a health center. but it's a health center for men. Now I know it takes the risqueness out of it. Like everybody likes to sneak around and do everything behind closed doors. I get it, and people get a jolt from that. I never got off from that. It never really did anything for me. If I'm going to enjoy pleasure and that sort of thing, yes, I want sacredness around it, but I'm not trying to hide and run and do all that stuff. Um, so, uh, brothels, harlots, all of these things are extremely important, and that's just one. That's just a couple of reasons how brothels and prostitutes and harlots actually support families and make the family life better for men because it allows that escape valve. That it's like that escape valve for sexual energy for men. And when a man is sexually satisfied and at peace in that way, that energy has moved in that way for him, he's able to be more productive, more relaxed, more at peace, not on edge, you know, and he's able to just be the very best that he can be. Um, you know, excuse me. It also allows women that are more prudish and maybe not as sexual to just be themselves and not feel like there's something wrong with them. They're able to be wives, housewives, whatever, and just like, live their lives, be happy, pursue their businesses, start whatever enterprise they want to start, and still have a man that's protecting, providing right next to them. And what the brothel does, what harlots do, is they provide that expression for men of middle and lower than middle class status in society. Wealthy men are always going to get theirs. There's always going to be escorts. Like you're in the 7, 8 figures annually, and you're not, you really have all your needs met. I mean, some men are knuckleheads and they just like think, oh, I make 5 million a year and that's not enough. All right, dude, whatever. But of course, you can always make more. But at that level, you can have an escort in any city that you go to, and like high level escorts, like they're high level escort services in all the major cities. Like they're everywhere. So like for men with money, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking about men that have a 9 to 5, the blue collar workers, even the white collar workers, um, CEOs. Like if you make 350 a year, I don't know if that's really doing it. Like you have to be making, because you're not going to a brothel anymore unless you're going to Switzerland or some place like that. Excuse me, unless you're going to Europe or some other places that have that kind of stuff. Um, but it's like this is more for like the blue collar man. The blue collar man needs that expression. He needs the worker man needs that because he's still a man, and these men are the backbone of society. They are the very backbone of society. And when you break the backbone of society by feminism and all the alphabet stew stuff, and then endangering children with the pedophilia and all that stuff, it's just like it's too much pressure from so many angles for men. And men need that escape valve. We need to provide a container where children are protected in schools. We're not bombarding them with, hey, you can do all this stuff to your body and you can call yourself whatever you want. Like that puts pressure on fathers. Like, I want my children to grow up to be adult humans, right? Um, Not whimsical whatevers, right? That puts a lot of pressure on men, and that pressure that men feel leaves women in their lives, their wives, feeling uneasy about life as well. So there's a lot of challenges, a lot of stress that comes out of that, and it's unnecessary. And of course, it trickles down to the children as well. And the children suffer as well. So. Uh, Let's see. You should promote bad act, even though we know we exist. Okay, you should promote bad act, even though we know it. We exist as long as the world on earth. So be guided not to mislead people with strong intentions. Alex is a little bit word soup, but I think what you're saying is don't promote. You should promote bad act, even though we know it. We exist. I don't understand, Alex Paul. Maybe send that through Grammarly and post it again, and I can respond. But again, this goes back to what it seems like. What Alex Paul is getting at is that it sounds like he's maybe criticizing what I'm saying, and that's okay. I'm going to close it down in a minute or two. Um, this is the thing. Like, unfortunately, they call it the carnal sin. adultery, all this stuff. Having a harlot or going to a brothel is not adultery in my book. And I'm not the moral expert, so don't follow me or quote me. I'm just going to present this idea and throw it out there. And if it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whatever. But I'm going to ask you again, why was Mary Magdalene a prominent prostitute in the Bible? Like, they could have just left that out. They could have just been like, they didn't have to tell us she was a prostitute. We don't know why she was a prostitute. There's speculation that she was abused as a child, but that's bullshit. Who knows? Like, why was the closest person to Jesus a prostitute? Why was Rahab, a harlot, a prostitute, listed as one of his ancestresses? Like, well, why did the Bible be like, hey, by the way, she was a prostitute and she was the ancestor of Jesus? There were so many other women in the Bible that Jesus came from. There was like all these others, I don't know, Jochebed. I don't know if Jochebed was in his lineage, but like there was all these other women in the Bible, and they just like skipped over all of them. Was like, hey, there's this prostitute. She's Jesus' great 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 grandmother. Oh, by the way, there's this prostitute. She's Jesus' best friend. And by the way, she knew the real secrets. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all the others, all the others, they didn't know. But the prostitute knew. Guys, we got to read between the lines sometimes, and that's what I'm talking about. The Bible, people who actually know biblical scholarship know this. That the Bible is written in multiple layers. There's the, we'll say the like the moralistic level. There's a psychological level, and there's the unitive level. And there's a level above that. It's like the fairy tale level, like all the animals fit into an ark and all that stuff. It's fairy tales for children so that you can give them the basics of morality, and then you teach them morality, and then as they become adults, you teach them the psychology behind it, why it's important for society, and then when you go really deep, when they become older adults, you teach them the real secrets. And I'm sharing with you the real secrets, the deepest level of the Bible. Well, I'm telling you like the third to deepest. I'm not telling you the deepest level of the Bible. I can't talk about that. But the second to deepest level is the psychological level. And you see like prostitutes are apparently bad in the Bible, but God tells Hosea to go back and marry a prostitute who leaves him, cheats on him 12 times, I believe it is. Look at the book of Hosea. It's one of the minor prophets in the Old Testament. God says, go back, marry her again. And she cheats on him, has a baby by another guy. God says, go back, marry her again. And Hosea's like, God, I can't keep doing this. And God's like, yeah, you can. You're going to do it about 10 more times. And then God just keeps sending him back. Obviously, God's not trying to torture the guy to death. God is basically he's in that story, the psychological significance is that God is showing Hosea, and this is something we learned from Philo of Alexandria in the 1st century AD, is God is showing Hosea the waywardness of Israel, how Israel has been like a harlot. But then at the same time, Rahab, Ruth, Mary Magdalene, I'm just saying, y'all, we can't keep reading the Bible like we're kindergartners, all right? And the too many Christians, this is my only problem with religious Christians, they read the Bible like kindergartners. They don't really read it like adults, you know? And so I get beyond all that kindergarten stuff. So let's see what are you from a gang by any chance? No. See, how did I find this again? I feel bad for Jose Dam. Okay, I don't know who Jose Dam is. So, gang? Where'd you get that, bro? Maybe it's the symbolism on the shirt. Don't worry about it. We're gonna just talk about the Bible for the rest of this. It's not. I'm not any of that stuff. It's a lot of esoteric symbolism here. Just look at the symbols and look them up, and you'll understand what I'm about. So yeah, like we've got to read the Bible like adults. There's an adult spirituality that you find right here in this wonderful, beautiful, holy book. But you have to be an adult to read it. We can tell children the moralistic stuff because it's good for children and teenagers. But once you get past age 25, you don't need to be reading the Bible like a 2-year-old. Jesus said it's bad to do this. No, Jesus didn't say that. The church said that. And Jesus is a character in this amazing book where God is trying to show you something about how powerful He is to make your life amazing, beautiful, awesome, beyond imagination. Don't let the church tell you how to interpret the Bible, but do your research. Do your research. Um, the church is always going to be wrong. You just have to go deep. You just have to go deep. You have to actually do the research, and it's not hard to find. There are commentaries. There are all kinds of wonderful books. But getting back to it, harlots, prostitution, all of that stuff is extremely important for society. It's important for the individual, men, because it allows men again to have a sexual valve. It's like a release where you know what it's like to be a guy and you're kind of pent up and you're frustrated and you're enraged, and then it's hard to focus at work. It's very hard to be patient with your children and with your wife or whatever. And the littlest thing they say will set you off. It's not that you get extremely upset and scream and throw things around. It's not that. It's just that you're on edge. It's just like this energy like this. And of course, you can do no fap to the point that you've basically chemically castrated yourself. You can do that if you want. Or you can, find a way to express that safely, legally, in a healthy way, so that when you are with your family, one, you're not burdening your wife with the task of, supporting you sexually, but then you're also, just a nicer, better guy. So those are the things I have to say about that. I talked about why harlots and brothels are important for society, especially when they're legal. Number one, it cuts down on sex trafficking. Number one, because you have professionals now. These are not people being, secreted into, and it would destroy if we were to legalize prostitution, like nationwide, like actually legalize it. It would destroy human trafficking. It would absolutely, I mean, the sex trade. It would destroy it. It would absolutely destroy it. Because now you have a legal institution with healthy people, various rates for various services. They're getting health insurance. They're probably unionized or whatever. Maybe not unionized, but at least they have an organization that they can go to for education and for support and things like that. And then over time, we can raise the perspective of people in that industry, in the sex work industry, and say these women are extremely important because they are important to the health of society. They're important to the mental health of society, of men and of women. They take pressure off of women that really, there are a lot of women that just don't want to be sexual. They don't want to be extremely sexual. They want to have family, they want to have children, but they don't want to be Miss Hottie, Hottie, Hot Trot in the bed. It also lowers the value of sex, which I think is very important. Because right now for men, sex is like way up here. So that means like if a really sick, unhappy, unhealthy, crazy woman comes to you and offers you sex as a man, it's very tempting to go for that. But if you know you can, for 1/20th of a week's salary, or 1/10th of a week's salary, go and spend time with a harlot, excuse me, at a healthy, safe, like clinic, but not a clinic, at a healthy, safe environment, then now that crazy PBD girl that just wants to take your money and lie to you and say she's pregnant and make you pay child support, now she's worth nothing. You're like, well, I can just go and, pay a couple $100, maybe not that much, whatever. I'm not gonna say anything. I can go over here to this harlot at a brothel, and she's going to offer me the release that I need, and I can go back to my family. I can forget who she is, and I don't have to keep in touch with her. Everything is confidential, and I know she's healthy. She knows that what my health risks are. I know what hers are based on the forms that I filled out or whatever. And it's just like easy, happy, easy, easy, easy. Like, how easy is that? It's like just going and getting a shot at the clinic, or I don't know, I have a cough and going to the pharmacy and getting it. It's like it's so easy, man. Sex is no different from a tummy ache or diarrhea. You just go and get it taken care of. And it's not a disease. I'm not saying that. And of course, sex is a way for husband and wife, spouses to kind of connect and support each other and love each other. But, um, you know, sex is a very important thing. And right now, men are sexually starved. They're really sexually starved. And I think that if we had a system like that, I think it would be healthier. I think families would be better. Men would not leave their women as quickly because men would be like, why would I leave my wife? And also men would be much more present, I think, because a lot of time I think men, our minds are all over the place because we got like a lot of stress, whatever going on. But if the sex part of it was just taken care of, well, now you can like deal with the other stuff in your head, and that gives you more room to like listen to your wife or whatever, that sort of thing. So that's just like kind of, that's right on. Yeah, thank you. The Adventures of Awakened, Dying Man. A lot of men are dying out there. That's a great name. Thank you for your comment. There's a lot of men struggling out there, and I love men, and I wish the very best for my brothers. And I think men are so great. I think men are really great. Fathers are amazing, and men deserve better. We give so much to society, and I know we deserve better. But this is the thing: men will never get better until they love themselves and respect themselves enough to demand better. So if you're a man watching this and you're in a sexless marriage, don't demand anything from your wife, because she ain't gonna deliver. She's got the state, she's got the country, she's got the police force behind her saying she ain't got to deliver shit. But what I am saying is demand more from God, because God will deliver. And I know it sounds weird for me to talk about brothels, talk about prostitution, and then talk about God in the same sense. My whole fucking doctorate was about this very thing. I studied Christian sexuality, God, identity. And what I found was, first of all, I found that the Bible is written in many layers. And we're all adults, we're all men, by the way. Men, you need to read the Bible in a different way than women and children read it. You have to read it in a unitive way as a man. That's what gives you real power. If you're not a millionaire, you know, there's going to be more challenges for you in sexual expression. But sexual expression is tied into everything. And a lot of men die early and suffer throughout their lives because their sexual expression is curtailed, is judged, is cut down, and stifled. And so I want to encourage you to just start to value yourself a little more. That's all. And you don't have to act on it. By the way, don't act on it yet. Because when you're going through this journey of loving yourself more as a man, if you act too early, you can put yourself in a real bad place. I did that, and I ended up in a dark place where they go clink, but I was still working. So I never stopped. I didn't stop. But yeah, God loves you. God sees you. God knows what you need. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to go and live in a fucking sexless marriage. You don't have to deal with that shit. Just as frustrating as it is to you, God knows it's frustrating. And it's not your wife's responsibility to fix that. It's not her fault. If she's like clammed up and shut up and closed out, there's a reason for that. You don't have to fix it. It's not your problem. You may ask her questions. You may love her. You may go to counseling. All those things are great. I highly encourage going to counseling, whether it's pastoral counseling or actual licensed therapist. Great. But at the end of the day, it's no one's responsibility but yours to make sure that you are satisfied as a man and make sure your pleasure is taken care of. And you have to do that in a consensual way, a respectful way, with integrity and virtue. Do it honestly, like a man would do it. Don't go behind the hide and lie and cheat and all that, because that's the way women do it. That's a womanly way to do it. If you're gonna hide and lie and cheat, might as well put on a dress and some lipstick and join the women's soccer team and say, "I'm a woman." You might as well do that. But you're a man, so be honest with yourself, be honest with God, and say, Lord, listen, I need a better sex life. Like you said in Mark 11:24, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, you believe you receive them, you should have. You didn't say whatsoever things that the church approves of, whatever things that whatever. You didn't say any of that. Mark 11:24, look it up. Mark 11:24 says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe you receive them, you shall have. That's what it says. Now, I'm going to point something out to you real quickly. I know I said I was going to close it, but I'm going to hurry up. Let me drop this word on him. Therefore I say unto you, I'm reading the King James. You see that? Therefore, let's see, where is it? 24. Therefore I say unto you. Am I reading the right verse? Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. All right? Of course, Jesus also talks about when you pray, forgive all the people that have fucked you over. He didn't say those words, but you get the gist. So your Father in heaven will forgive you, but if you don't forgive people, your Father in heaven ain't gonna forgive you either. So forgive your prude ass wife for not having sex with you. Forgive society for trying to fuck you over. But he says whatsoever things. He didn't say. Did Jesus say whatsoever lovely things that everybody wants you to have? No, he says whatsoever things. So if that is a better sex life, more money in your account, a side chick with your wife approving of it and not giving you hell and trying to take the kids for it, whatever you ask for, God will give it to you. That's what they say. Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. God is the provider and giver of all things, good, bad, and ugly. Isaiah 14:12. I create the light, I create the darkness, good and evil, all that stuff. So, talk to God and say, look, Lord, my wife is not doing her job, and I'm not going to go to her and make her responsible for my pleasure. This is a conversation between you and I. And trust me, the Lord will hear you. The Lord will focus. I'm going to tell you my testimony before I get off of this thing. I put out like 10 videos in the last 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Nope, it's 4 in the morning. So I've been putting out videos since 4 in the afternoon. But let me tell you my quick testimony. So I was in a sexless marriage from 2011 to 2023. And literally, it was, by definition, it's less than 10 sexual encounters per year is considered a sexless marriage. But I was down to 2 sexual encounters a year by 2015. The last time I had a sexual encounter with the ex when I was married to this individual was, I think, 2015, somewhere in the middle of 2015. I said, God, this is not working for me. And I was literally not having sex with anybody else. I don't know what she was doing. That's all I'm going to say. And so it's likely she wasn't either. It's likely. But so I was like, look, Lord, I can't take this. And so 2015, I sought out the assistance of a surrogate. This is a woman that is a type of therapist that actually will potentially have sex with you if you, there's a process, like there's a whole process. Because I thought I was gay. And I was like, because I don't want to have sex with the wife. And I also, like, but I still want to have sex. So I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's kind of like I'm an adult. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's almost like I'm an adult. So obviously, I'm a healthy adult. I'm supposed to have sex. And so anyway, long story short, I set up the thing with this woman, talked to her for a year. And then I told my wife, hey, I'm going to go see the surrogate. It set it up for a certain day. And she lost her shit. She was like, nope, you can't do it. No, I can't do it. And I just was like, it was like somebody just shot an arrow into my chest. Boom, just hit me like in my chest. And I was just like, oh my God. I told my wife that I was going to do this. Like, this was a year of conversation with this lady, developing trust and all this stuff. And then just, my ex was just like, no, you can't do it. She just flipped out in front of the kids and everything. And I wasn't saying what I was going to go do in front of my kids. They were little. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go see the lady. She just flipped out. She's like, no, you can't. Blah, blah. And I was like, wait a second. You had a boyfriend 2 years into the marriage, and I supported that, and I was down with it. I didn't do anything with anybody else until, okay? And I didn't say any of that. I just sat in the car just dumbfounded, like somebody just chopped my balls off. And then I was just like, in a voice, it wasn't an audio voice. I never hear God in my ear, because then I go see a psychiatrist. But it was like a feeling that came to me that was like words, and it was like, she's not responsible for your sexual pleasure. You are. And I was like, I cannot keep holding her accountable for my sexual pleasure. That's my responsibility. We haven't had, it was 26 to 15, 16 by this point. And so, needless to say, 2 weeks later, I went and had sex with somebody else for the first time. It was amazing. Amazing! Like, really good. Well, I hadn't had sex in many years, so it was amazing. And the lady was awesome. She was a little older than me and Asian and just so gentle and amazing. Anyway, I'm not going to go into details. What I'm going to say is that I had a moment with God, and God was like, listen, you can't keep holding someone else responsible for your sexual pleasure, your sexual joy and peace in life. You can't do that. That's not right. If your wife is not going to support you in taking care of yourself and your body, then don't fucking tell her. Like, it's none of her fucking business. Move on. And so anyway, that was the whole long story to say that God will always help you find what you want to find in a harmonious way. And of course, I told my wife at the time, that I had had sex with another woman, like within days of having sex with this woman. Of course, she flipped out and all that stuff. And then it was just like, how? Why would she do this after she dated another guy like 2 years into the marriage? And I knew it with our 2-year-old son, and was like, hey, I'm okay with that. And I met him and I was cool with it. Like, and then 10 years later, I go try to see a therapist person, and then she flipped out. So I was just like, that was not her responsibility. It was no reason for her to be upset. Like it was okay for her to be upset about it. There's no reason for me to be upset with her for having the response that she had. It was none of her business. It was between me and God. By that point, I was single again, and so I needed to go on and do my own thing. So, like I said, the Bible says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe you receive them, you shall have them. It does not tell you what kind of things. God keeps his word. So if you're connected to that power, you need to step out of the church infantilization of you and of men and of society, and you need to start reading the Bible like a fucking adult. People get offended by profanity. I'm going to fucking say it while I'm holding the God blessed Bible. God is my witness. God is my witness, you know. This is the thing. We have to read the Bible like adults. We have to read the Bible like adults. And so many men read the Bible like toddlers. They get offended and they say, oh, well, Jesus didn't tell me that I can have a sex, and so I gotta wait and this guy. It's just like, you gotta grow the fuck up, man. Be a fucking man. The people who translated this wonderful, amazing, most important book in human history, the people who transmitted it, the people who originally taught it, were fucking adults in a real world. Why do you think Jesus' most important disciple was a prostitute? And I know that the canonized Bible and mainstream Christianity doesn't understand that. She was a prostitute. Jesus' ancestors were prostitutes. Like, I don't know, at some point we have to start reading the Bible like adults, people. And then we have to start being adults. And stop letting the church infantilize us. Stop letting the church chop your balls off. Stop letting the church tell you, oh, it's bad to be what God made you to be, which is a human being. Before we are Christians, before we're anything, before we're moral and all, we're humans. And before all of that, we're children of God. So, you know, God wants you to have the best. God wants you to be happy, have a wonderful, beautiful life. And it's time for people to have that. And that's what this golden age is about. That's why Donald Trump was elected. That's why, you know, all of these things are going in the direction they're going. And the question is, are you going to be on the side of history that's winning? Or are you going to be on the side of history that's complaining about the winners? There are only two sides. They're the winners and those who complain about them. And I know that's going to sound like, oh, well, there's winners and losers. There's victors and victims. Nope. There's winners and those that complain about winners. And if you're God's child, you're a winner. Hands down, number one. Those people that built the pyramids, the people that built all the ruins in Peru, Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo. I've been to all these places. These were children of God that built this stuff. The church will never tell you that, because the church is a political organization that tries to keep you dumb, stupid, and sexless. And that keeps you a slave. Let me ask you this. How easy is it to enslave you if you're having good sex, if you have good food, like nutritious good food, if you have good friends, if you have good family? How easy is it to enslave you? Hey man, go and, I don't know, go and build that road for me. Or I don't know, or I'll, you know, just go and do it. And you're gonna be like, yeah, well, no. And so, or go to war for me and go kill those people over there that you don't know. They ain't done nothing to you. Yeah, no. Cause like, yeah, no. And that's what native people in Europe, in what you call Africa, in Asia, in the Americas, all of our ancestors were doing that. They were following the law of God. They were actually following the law of God. It had to be put in the Bible because all the ancestors were killed and all our knowledge had to be put in there so we can remember it. But, you know, it's like I'm spending some real knowledge right now. I shouldn't even be able to say this, but I am because it's the time to say it. But, you know, they were happy. They had real food. They had real love. They had real communities. Men were men, women were women, and children were children. And you didn't have this mind virus taking over the planet as it did in the past. You know, we're fine now. I mean, it's dying off. But like, get on the side of the winners. You know, God's people are the winners. That's it. That's it. God's people are the winners. Period. Hands down. Full stop. Full stop. God's people are the winners. And so you look at history. Go look at the winners. Those are God's people. You may not want to admit it because we were indoctrinated in church, in school. Oh, the meek and the lowly, the broken, beat up, fucking kicked around people. Those are God's people. No, they're not. They never were. Think about it. If you know anything about the Bible, read the Old Testament. When were the Israelites winning? When they were doing what God wanted them to do. As soon as they stopped doing what God wanted to do, they went to slavery. They became slaves. They became losers. They became raped and pillaged and destroyed. And the Deuteronomy chapter, the same thing. If you follow God's law, you win. When you don't, you complain about the winners. It's that simple. It's that simple. Why was Jesus' closest disciple a prostitute? Why was Rahab a prostitute highlighted in Jesus' time? There's a whole there's like a whole chapter, I think, in the Bible dedicated to a almost nameless prostitute. And they say, oh yeah, by the way, this is Jesus' great grandmother. Why do we need to know that? There's an importance there, right? There's nothing in this Bible is here by accident. Oops, Jesus' great grandmother. Let me make sure it's Rahab. Anyway, I'll look it up. Jesus' great grandmother was a prostitute. Oops, we accidentally put that in. And no, nothing in here is accidental. There were some mistakes in the I think the 1589 version or whatever. But all that aside, everything in there is supposed to be there. Okay. The Bible is the greatest book ever written. And if you get into it, read it, take off the Christian lens. Like, I love Christianity. I'm a geopolitical Christian. But take off that lens. Like, you know, God is real. God is real. God is real. And God's children are the winners of history, the winners of society. And so if you're not winning right now in your life, doesn't mean you're bad or evil or wrong and God's punishing you. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that there's just a little tweak that you got to do, just a little tweak. Get on the side of God, get on the side of what's right, and you'll win. But you got to understand the side of right, the side of God is not what the church says. Definitely fucking not what society says, because society is so fucking sick. And so that's where this book, Hey With God, Wake the Fuck Up, comes in, where I actually break down all those verses in the Bible I'm talking about. And break them down to the Greek and then put them back into the exegetical lens of the time, you know, because the time it was written and translated, and I do all that stuff. Anyway, if you want that kind of nerdy stuff, you get this book. But there's a lot of other stuff like drugs and sex and stuff in there too. But God is real and God is for winners. And if you're not with God, you're not a winner by definition. Now, if you see someone that's winning, like actually winning in life, they're with God. God is with them. It's that simple. So, like at the end of it all, harlots, prostitutes, brothels, they're very important for society. They help men to express their sexual expression, and they help them to be more focused and loving when they go home because they don't have that sexual tension in their body. And it also allows them to, independent women, because there's a lot of feminist, independent women. Those make great prostitutes. They make great harlots, they're wonderful harlots, because they're independent, they're witches, they want to do all this stuff, and they make good in that. It's just that as a man, you got to be strong right here so that you can always maintain your kingdom. Your wife is your empress. She helps you to build your empire. Choose her right. Like Proverbs 31 says, I believe it says, a good woman is better than her price in rubies. You know, she is to be sought after. And so find a good woman. On the deep level, it's talking about your inner self, your good mind. But on the external part of the Bible, the external reading of the Bible, a good woman is better than anything in the world. So if you're a young man, you're not married, make sure you find a good woman and test her. Make sure she supports you sexually, spiritually, and that she understands as a man you do have a sexual appetite. And if you're gonna go and get that sexual appetite fed by another woman, she is still the empress. She is still the empire builder with you. So anyway, I've exhausted this topic. I got to 54 minutes. And but God bless you guys. Throw some likes up in there. It'll get likes later. Because I'm gonna post this video as a video on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do other wonderful, wonderful stuff, and get Hey God, Wake the Fuck Up. There's a free excerpt of this on Amazon, so you can read it. It's really, really fucking good. I read it. It's a wonderful book. And it was a gift from God. It just came through me. And there's several more after that. But I want this one to do certain things, and God's going to take it where it's got to go. But yeah, get in the Bible, yo. Just like read that book, but read it like an adult. Read it like a man. Don't read it like a little 2-year-old. And like a lot of these Christians, there's a lot of Christian men out there judging, yeah, you're bad, you're wrong, you cheated, you're bad, you're wrong, you cheated. They're like 2-year-old females, man. Shut the fuck up, you know? Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Here I am using all this profanity, telling people shut the fuck up, and then saying, God bless you, read the Bible. Is this guy psycho? No, man. I'm just blessed. I know the universal creator, the guy that, not the guy, but the source being that created the universe, like, is so much bigger than all this bullshit we buy into, y'all. So get on it. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. The Adventures of a Awakened Dying Man. Brother, as you awaken, may the light of God be in you and shine through your life and give you so much beauty and joy. You know, the gift of God is eternal life. And that's a lot. It means a lot of things. But eternal life means, in this moment, stillness. I feel alive. I feel peace. I feel joy. I feel pleasure. That's the gift of God. And all of us are entitled to that because we are his children. And if you're a man, you're a prince. You're a son of God. You know, you're a son of God. So act like it. Live like it. Look at what the Bible patriarchs did. You know how many wives Solomon had? You know how many concubines and lovers David had? Like, and God was like, all right, bro, do your thing. Oh, you want more? Here's some more. All right, go ahead. You know, you just pray for wisdom and pray for guidance and pray for harmony. And when I say pray, that means trust that God will bring that and live as though it's true. Whatsoever things you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24. Believe that. God is good. God is great. Allahu Akbar. I'll say it in Arabic because they're just Christians by another name. But God is the greatest. God is great. And God bless you guys. We're at almost an hour. God bless you guys. Get in this book. Get in this word. Get in the Bible. Read it every day, but read it like an adult. Don't let the church castrate you, and live your life to the fullest. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do other great stuff. I have a lot of weird stuff like this on my channel, so if you like it, it's there. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Love you all. God bless.